In this video, I'm going to show you how to add a new navigation menu to your WordPress theme. If your client doesn't like where it is right now, or they want an additional navigation menu, this is how you'll do it, by altering your template files. There are 4 steps basically. The first is to register a navigation area in your functions.php file, and you can register as many as you like. Then you have to add the actual navigation area to whichever template file is appropriate. It could be the header, the footer, the sidebar, wherever it is. You do that using a template tag. Then, in WordPress itself, once those 2 files have been uploaded, then you create a new menu, and you've seen how to do this already in WordPress. You create a new menu. Then you actually tie that menu, connect it to the navigation area you want by using the drop-down menu, and we'll see that in just a little bit. But let's go back to registering a navigation area, and let's take a look at the code involved in that. It uses a function called register Nav Menus. Now there is one called Nav Menu, register Nav Menu, singular, and it's for doing a single navigation area. But for the most part, you'll never want to use it because you just use Nav Menus, put in a single if that's all you're using right now, but it leaves it open and easy to add another one or more later on, which is what we're going to do in just a moment. So that's registering the nav menu. You give it a name, then you give it the name that the client is actually going to see in their drop-down menu, so make it very descriptive. And this can be an additional description here, but I tend to just put in the name of the theme, as they've done here in the default theme for 2010. Now, to the template file, like header, footer, and so forth, this is what you put in there to actually bring the menu to life, to actually make it happen. WP Nav Menu is your template tag there, and you'll see that it takes some parameters. The key one is this one right here, theme location. That's got to correspond to a name of something you've registered. So if I've got multiple navigation areas registered, I've got to be sure to use the right one here. In this case, it's primary. Then I can do some things like specify classes for it, and there's actually a whole range of items that you can put in this array, many parameters. If we go over here to the codex for WordPress, these are all the possible parameters for WP Nav Menu, quite a lot of them, things you put after and before, classes and so forth. You can determine the depth. The default is to show all levels of your menu, but you could restrict it. By default it wraps everything in a div, but you could change that as well. Anyway, lots of options for you to choose there. Now back here, this is our code that we're actually putting, for example, in the header. So this is the Nav Menu in the default theme for the header, and I'll just show you briefly where it is in the functions file. We're going to change this right now. As you recall, there was just one created. All I do is I copy this line, and then I'm going to paste it in so I know I've got exactly the right elements, and I just change this to footer, and I change this to footer navigation right here so it's easy to understand. I save it. Now I'm going to go and upload it, but this is how things looked before I uploaded it. There's one area, primary navigation. That's the only place I could assign any menus I create. Now if I refresh this page, now that I've added to functions.php, there we go. There's our footer navigation. And up here, this is where I would now create a new menu called footer, if I want to, whatever I want to call it. And then, well, let's do that right now. I'm just going to call it footer here. And I create this menu. Now, over here, I can drop this down, choose footer, and save it. And now, in the footer, I would show whatever I drop in here. I haven't put anything on the menu yet, but once I start dropping items in here, they'll show in my footer area because I put the code. We didn't actually go and do this to take the time to do it, but I would put my code, remember what I had from the header file here, I could put something similar to this into the footer, just paste it in there, let's say, just before the site info at the bottom, and I would call it footer, of course, and there we go. We're all set. Save that, upload it, and then the footer would appear in the footer area. Footer menu would appear in the footer area. So that's how easy it can be. Now you can get pretty fancy with this. I'll show you one example where I wanted to have multiple submenus depending on where you were in the site, what pages you were on. It would show a different submenu. So look what I've done here. I've set up a conditional. If it's this page, or, there's our or symbol in PHP, or if it is a child of this particular post, or page, of course. Post is a common term used in WordPress, as we've seen. If it's the child of this page, then put in this particular theme location. See here? Now I've got this theme location for a different one, this theme location for a different area, and all of them ask, am I in this area? If I am, display this navigation menu. And I've got a whole list of them here. So you can get as detailed and as particular as you want, all through using these template tags and conditionals in your template files. So those are some ways for you to manipulate WordPress navigation menus in your template files.